The boy's father forcibly pulled him into the river and constantly pressed him into the water. The boy begged him not to do it because he couldn't swim, but his father said it was the best way to learn to swim. The boy desperately swam towards land, while his father looked satisfied. The boy struggled to get back to shore. While his father was resting, he held up a stone and looked at him with empty eyes. If this is smashed down, the head will definitely brain out. But he knew his son wouldn't do it, and sure enough, the boy turned around and threw away the stone. The boy's name is Chuck, and his father hurts Chuck's favorite uncle in front of himself. Kevin fled with his son, and they went to a grocery store, where he cut his beard and long hair. The next day, he took his son to collect a bouquet of flowers at the cemetery and gave it to his ex-wife, whom he had not seen for many years. In this way, they spent a short period of warmth here. After eating his ex-wife's hearty breakfast, he took the opportunity to take all the money from his ex-wife's wallet. Saying goodbye to his ex-wife, Kevin led Chuck into a church. He told Chuck to wait here while he went to the bar. Watching the news on TV, he was a little uncomfortable. It seems that Chuck's uncle has been discovered, and it is not advisable to stay here for long. As he left the bar, he bumped into a man who was a little upset, but Kevin's fist had already smashed into the man's face first. But the other party was so powerful that he pressed Kevin to the ground and beat him violently. The next morning, Kevin woke up outside the bar, his handsome face still wounded. Chuck was in the church and found someone praying, and someone intimately asked about Chuck's situation. And he said, "Do you think you can fly somewhere and help someone?" At this time, Kevin returned, and the woman didn't know what the situation was, and asked Kevin, "Who does your son seem to be trying to save?" Seeing that the matter was about to be revealed, he simply hijacked the woman and threw the car keys to his son. Angry and devastated, Kevin asked him to take his things to the car, tied up the woman, and after looting her wallet, took Chuck on the road to escape again. To reduce contact with people, he drove deep into the forest, but the smoke from the campfire drew police attention. Fortunately, the police just wanted the two guys to get out of here to avoid starting a fire, but Kevin managed to persuade the police to let them stay overnight. When they were hungry, he took Chuck to raid people's RVs, and when they were sleepy, he slept with him in the wild. Chuck sneaked into the car in the middle of the night and rummaged through the woman's cosmetics in the glove box. Early the next morning, Kevin opened the car door only to find his sleeping son wearing the woman's lipstick and eyeshadow. The old father was very angry and wanted to rub his skin off. Then Kevin took out the belt and taught his son a hard lesson. After being whipped for half a day, Chuck escapes, and Kevin asks his son to wash his face. He was beaten to the point that his face was covered in blood. After washing himself, he looked at his father in the distance. Taking his clothes out of his backpack, he didn't want to face the vicious man anymore and walked away alone. Kevin finds his son, and it is clear that he also regrets that he hit too hard. But the mouth still said, "You didn't wash your face. You still look like a girl." The son didn't say a word, and Kevin could only change the subject to breakfast. Chuck's father, Kevin, wanted him to go to breakfast, but Chuck was indifferent. Kevin took off his clothes and wiped his wounds with a relatively clean shirt. He hit his son and lost his manhood. Chuck is his own baby. How can he not be distressed? He asked Chuck to go into the water again, but this time he taught carefully the whole time. However, when they returned, they found that the police had already come to them. Kevin had to find another off-road vehicle, picked up his son and started the escape journey again. Kevin chooses to cross the plain, but he drives improperly and the car gets stuck in the rocks and can't get out. What's worse was that the police dispatched the plane. He hurriedly cut off the branches and took cover for the vehicle. They came to a creek and Kevin took a sip of water. Although the taste is not good, it can be drunk when boiled. Early the next morning, he pried the front wheel with a branch. Chuck stepped on the gas pedal in the car, and father and son successfully escaped. They came to Lake Ayer and drove on this mirror-like lake. Chuck holds his uncle's gift and recalls the good things about each other. In fact, this guy is a pervert, but it is only in the stage of marginal temptation, and after being discovered by Kevin, he teaches Chuck's uncle a hard lesson. But Chuck was just a child. He didn't understand this, clenched the toy in his hand, and then threw it at his father. Kevin had to stop the car, explaining that he was only doing it to protect him. Moreover, when he left, the pervert was still alive. The boy said he hated him, that the boy's uncle treated him better than this father, who was more like a father. This sentence completely infuriated his father, who was dragged out of the car by his father, and threw him here. Chuck chased helplessly, but he could only watch him go farther and farther. He squatted in place for a long time, but his father never appeared again. 2 long rut marks are marks of his discarded by his father. Before dark, his father finally returned, and his father explained the reason to him, but the child could not accept his father's behavior. So Chuck walked more than 20 kilometers. In one store, Chuck took potato chips. The boss asked the little tramp to roll aside, and Kevin told him to stop, but he deliberately got the potato chips to the ground, and the boss was anxious to tug with Chuck. Kevin could only help his son out of the siege, and took the shopkeeper's shotgun by the way. Kevin didn't know what this kid was going to do, and Chuck didn't say a word, eating potato chips only. After having a shotgun, father and son finally ate barbecue. Kevin taught his son to shoot, but he didn't expect that this kid was quite talented, and he hit the target with a shot from 100 meters away. He aimed at a hare in the distance, and he stepped forward to check the results, but seeing the wounded hare, he felt pity again. Chuck buried the hare and secretly grieved on the sidelines. Suddenly the phone rang, and there was a signal here. Chuck went to a nearby power plant, and secretly jot down the location information. He sent away the gift given by his uncle, and at this moment he made the final decision. Kevin told Chuck that if he was caught this time, he might stay inside for the rest of his life. Chuck didn't want to say anything, and left the campfire without thinking about it. He sent a photo of his location to the police. While his father was asleep, he took the shotgun and hid in a dark corner. Kevin wakes up looking for his son. He threw a stone to the side to attract his father's attention. In the darkness, Kevin fell and sprained his ankle. Kevin asked his son to come and help, but he was indifferent. He returned to the camp to break 2 tires and then hit again. Until now, Kevin still doesn't understand what his son is going to do. He crawled to the campfire with difficulty and fell asleep. Early the next morning, Kevin was woken up by the sound of a helicopter. He quickly got up and hid behind the car, but when he turned around, he found that the police were already not far away. The son saw the police and stopped hiding. He wanted his son to go to his mother, but instead he said he wanted to be with Kevin. But now, he understands that only his mother can give Chuck a future. The son confessed everything to his father, told Kevin that he had done all this, sent the location information to the police, and called the police. Kevin never expected that he was actually screwed by his son, but he turned around and said, "It's okay, you're doing it right, I love you." This time he did not get angry or whip his son, but hugged him tightly, kissed his son, and he forgave his son. This is a father's last gift to his son. Chuck walked out not far away, and suddenly a gunshot sounded behind him, and the shot did not hit Chuck. He turned back to find his father had committed suicide. Chuck stood there at a loss. He seemed to understand something, turned and ran towards the river like crazy. He came to the water and tried to surface himself in the same way his father taught him. Happily, he did. Chuck learned to swim, and not only that, he also learned to shoot and learned to do the right thing. The vent in the store may be an expression of his helplessness as a father, but there is no way to restrain his son. Kevin's childhood was also unfortunate. He once said that his father threw him in this no man's land, obviously throwing him away as a burden, but he always believed that his father was exercising him. A loveless person grows up with his own cognition, then his character is flawed, so he will use a rude way to let his son learn to swim, throw him on the lake and leave him alone, but every time he is ruthless. He will regret it, because he is his baby. Along the way, Kevin had expected that he would be arrested one day, but as a regular visitor to prison, he did not want to return to that impersonal place, let alone stay in it for 10 years. He used his final journey to give his son a new starting point, and make one last choice for his tragic life. Years later, when he faces the world and fights alone, he may understand the true meaning of father. He is not warm, but in a direct and simple way, he teaches you to be strong and brave, to bear all the consequences. He is silent, but he can stand up at any time and fight off the enemy for you. He is aloof and ruthless, but he can unreservedly teach you to hunt, swim, learn to face a broken down car, learn to walk a long and difficult road alone, and be optimistic under any pressure. In this war, you are already the doomed winner. No commentary can replace the original film, and a good movie deserves you to experience the full plot. I'm HKY Movies, and look forward to my next encounter with you.